And away we go. Here we are. Here I am. There I am. And there have been some changes with the camera. So let me know how that looks. It should look a lot different now in the camera. I hope it looks different. So hey everybody, good afternoon. It is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I am right now, Saturday, the 22nd of November. Retro Toy Con is going on as we speak, and I am not there. I am not there. Would have been nice. Pixel Dan is down there right now. It would have been nice to hook up with him again, but unfortunately, circumstances being what they are, we're unable to leave town like that right now. But hey, I'll say hello to some of the people. There's a handful of people that are joining us here so far. I see K Munin is here. Wants to know about pickups already. Goodness. And Johnny Future is here, getting a little carried away with the whole King routine. And Munin says the picture looks 4K quality and sound is good. Excellent. I've made a few adjustments to try to improve the overall experience, as it were, so it should look better. It still looks I still look weird because the light is like right on top of me, so I get reflection on top of my head anyways, but that's okay. And yes, I have the crown. The crown is here. Yeah. Would have been nice to go to ToyCon. Many of you are aware, of course, that we have the whole situation with my father-in-law. He is still here. Today marks, I believe, week 15 while we try to find a placement. There was one place that looked promising, but then they gave us the old we can't take him because of mild agitation speech, which is a really nice way of saying he's too crazy to stay here. And not even trying to be snarky. It's literally what it is. And yeah, he's off the deep end, so it is kind of hard. But yeah, week 15 now of caretaking for him while we try to figure something out. And that's part of the primary reason I would have liked to have gone to Retro Toy Con, but yeah, right now just can't do it. Just can't do it. We did go out to the antique mall today. We went out to the antique mall today, and I was trying to send pictures to myself so that I can show a couple of the weird things that I had spotted at the antique mall, and the connection is just being really, really screwy. I'm having issues sharing to the. I'll probably have to restart the phone. Issues sharing with the system. Maybe if I switch to Wi-Fi or switch the Wi-Fi off, it acts up a lot. I see Reston's Last Stand is joining us, as well as Pastor Rick. Glad you could make it today. Oh, and for those of you keeping track, Hobo was sick. Hobo was sick. He's doing better now. He was sick the other day, and I was actually really worried about him. Yeah, I'm going to have to restart the phone. It's not doing right. What a pain in the ass. This technology is worthless. You know, the more they upgrade it, the harder it is to work with. Johnny wants to know if he likes looking at antiques. I guess. I mean, it's kind of weird because as soon as we leave, he doesn't know he was there. So it's just a way to get him out and about and slow him down a little bit. You know, sap some of that energy. But yeah, so we've been dealing with that all week, of course. And just to put it into perspective, at one point I got a contact from the alarm company because, you know, sensors on all the doors, and the porch door, the sensor on it had been triggered more than 200 times in a 4-hour period. And they thought something was wrong with the sensor. It wasn't. It was him leaving to go get his truck. And of course, his truck isn't outside. But no matter how many times you tell him, it doesn't make a difference because there's no retention. He doesn't remember anything you say to him. But yeah, we're hanging in there. I mean, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Plus, my wife needs me, and it is what it is. So we did go to the antique mall. We did look around. I took a couple of pictures of a couple of what I thought was interesting things. I think it's working now. I'm going to try to send a couple of pictures so that I can share. I can share this with you. And I got a picture of Hobo too. I'm going to try. It's an overexposed photo. It looks ridiculous. But yeah, he was sick. He's feeling better now. He wouldn't eat, or he didn't want to move. He was sitting in the corner looking pathetic. And there's Weird Fantastic Toys joining us. Glad you could make it. Pastor Rick made a donation to the channel for our shelter cats. Always appreciated. Again, I'm currently taking care of 13 cats, including poor Hobo. But yeah, if anything, I think I would have been heartbroken if anything really happened to him. But he's doing a lot better now. Let me, I do have before we get into anything else, can I show you a picture, Hobo? Hold on a second. Let me see this. Okay. I think, that's a terrible picture. I'll show you anyways. And Johnny wants me to say hello to LPH, of course. So yeah, again, Pastor Rick, any and all donations for our feline friends is very much appreciated. Here I am comforting Hobo because in the outdoor shelter, because he just didn't feel good. He wasn't feeling good, but he's back to his old happy, bouncy self again. So I'm grateful for that. He was doing really good this morning. And there's Blue Splash joining us. Just got back from Retro Toy Con. Oh, I wish I could have gone. Because again, we wanted to go. We would have liked to, but there's no way we could manage it with her father. And also the Atlanta Comic Con. Yes, I'm wearing the t-shirt here. You can't really see it in the little micro there. But the Atlanta Comic Con I would have liked to have gone to. We didn't go at all this year. And they do it 4 times a year. We couldn't go at all. And I would like to get back to that. But that is too compacted of an environment. He would have freaked out. But that's me with comforting Hobo. It's really overexposed though. But yeah, he's pressing up against me in the picture. I spent some time with him as much as I could over that. That's my view from the sofa. That's Daniel, Monkey, and Miss Kitty again. Monkey likes to sleep next to Daniel. And there's Granny Smith sitting in my lap. And that's, another shot. Although you can't, she blurred her face out a little bit. Granny Smith laying in my lap there. Little fat thing. Anyways, so yeah, we went to the antique mall. This is the shirt I'm talking about. This is an Atlanta Comic Convention t-shirt that I've got on now, but I haven't been able to go all year, unfortunately, but I would like to. One of the Blue Splash says it was one of the best toys shows they've been to. Extremely cluttered aisles. People were everywhere. Met Larry Kennedy, voice of Lion-O. He was awesome. Okay. That's great. Maybe sometime you can get out to the Toylanta. That's going to be in March because our schedule, our lineup is, I know in December, we've got the Retro Toy Swap. I think that's December 6th. We'll definitely be able to go to that. The Conyers Comic and Toy Show, December 7th, the next day. We'll definitely be able to go to that. CCS has a toy show at like the 14th of December. I don't think we're going to make it. In February, there's the Atlanta Record and CD Show. We'll go to that. And then definitely Toylanta will be in March. I think it's 26th, 27th, and the 28th over the weekend. We'll definitely go to that. And that's what we have planned thus far. And I'm sure there'll be an Atlanta Comic Convention by then. In the beginning of the year, I'd like to be able to get to it. Now, at the antique mall, I did pick up these. They're vintage Coca-Cola napkins. It's a full set, 4 of them. It says when friends drop in on the back, because I thought it would go nicely with our dinette which is Coca-Cola themed, which is over here. I think I can turn the camera without making a disaster out of it, because I stay in the room. There goes the microphone, because I'm going to drop everything here. There's the dinette, the Coca-Cola dinette, 50s dinette with, it is a vintage 50s dinette. And I've got the Coca-Cola mats, which are actually 90s mats, I think. And a vintage Coca-Cola straw cozy, and then salt, no, not salt, pepper, the ketchup and mustard containers, vintage, the trays, those 2 trays Johnny Future actually sent us. And then the 2 cups there, the rocket cups, are vintage Denny's rocket cups. So I'll put the Coca-Cola napkins over there. You see it's hard to tell right there from the glow, but that's the Yellow Submarine lava lamp. There's the Santa little display. As I work my way back around to where I am, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. So pick that up. It was really, really cheap. And Blue Splash wanted to know how old that setup is. Probably 70 years old. It's probably from circa, maybe 70. It's probably circa 55, 58, something like that. It could be early 60s, but I don't think so. I don't think so. And Munin said the Coca-Cola napkins are in excellent shape. Yeah, they are. They look really good, actually. Pick that up. And Johnny is correct. Cats know when you care about them. They sure seem to. Yeah, they sure do. Let me see here. Where's the other photos? Yeah, these are some photos I took while I was at the antique mall, and I put one of them up on Instagram. I put one of these up on Instagram. Let me share this with you. I just thought this was interesting. Not my cup of tea, but take a look at this collection of Mickey Mouse telephones. There's 13 of them. Well, one of them is Goofy and one of them is Minnie Mouse, but there's 13 vintage telephones on that shelf. I would be interested in figural telephones for ad icons, which they did make many of them. There's Raidbug, there's and these are all from the 70s and 80s, by the way. The Raidbug, there's Little Sprout from Jolly Green Giant, or Green Giant peas or whatever. There's the Pillsbury Doughboy, there's Punchy from Hawaiian Punch. But they made a lot of figural telephones. That was a big deal back in the day. I would be interested in something along those lines. I think Keebler had a phone. They made phones for everybody. Alf had a phone, which was actually plush. The Garfield phone is probably the most famous one. But that's straying away from advertising. Charlie Tuna had a phone. And lamps. He had matching lamps for the phone. Do you believe that? Some of the advertising stuff they made is amazing. And the telephones, they don't go for a lot, actually. They don't go for a lot. So I did see those figural telephones, and I just thought it was interesting that there were that many together. My best guess, of course, is that somebody at some point collected figural telephones, Disneyania, and whatever happened. They had to sell them, or they died and the family got rid of them, or, whatever. And this guy picked them up and brought them to the antique mall along with all that other stuff. Like I said, not my cup of tea, but I just thought that was really interesting. I was like, wow, look at all these phones. This also caught my eye. Oh boy, I would have loved to have taken that home with me. And that is a vintage blow mold Santa with sleigh, one reindeer. Really still good, vibrant color on it, because a lot of those old blow molds, when you see them, the color is terrible. The color's all faded out on them. That's still pretty vibrant. And I was like, oh, if that was cheaper. And I would have tried to work it in. My LPH is like, you couldn't do anything with that. Where the hell are you going to put it? Right there with my other Santa stuff. I'll move those. Oh, you can't see. I'll move the little My Toy banks that are on the floor there, and I'll set that up right in front of the fireplace. But not for $400. That thing was $400, which is probably about what it goes for. But I'm like, I can't do that. I got to find it at a yard sale. That's what I have to do. Like the blow mold rabbit that I have, I found at the retro toy swap, and the owl that you saw, which does work, I got at a yard sale for $5, and it's expensive. That owl is very expensive in working condition. Johnny wants to know how big that Santa sleigh is. It's probably about 5 feet wide. It's a big piece. You see the hat that's sitting on the shelf there? That's a top hat that would fit a normal person's head. That's how big that piece is. But I'm like, $400? Nah, I can't do it. And that could be what it's worth, because vintage blow mold items, they're not cheap. They are not cheap. Vintage blow mold items can be quite expensive, actually. But I was like, nah. If it was $20, it would have come home with me. But I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not balling out of control. I know a lot of people probably think so, because we have so much stuff, but that's been years and years and years of acquisition with a lot of really careful deals made. That's the only way we can do it, folks. That's how most people can do it. We don't have the privilege. And I know a couple of people that are like that are like, oh, if I want something from a toy line, I'll just go out and go on eBay and I'll track down every piece of it and buy it all. Well, yeah, that's great if you can afford it, but most of us can't. Most of us can't afford to do things like that. You know what I mean? Blue Splash is saying, oh, yeah, a lot of places do this. He says, after the early bird shopping Friday at Retro Toy Con, they allow you to purchase in hotel rooms from the vendors. It's almost like nonstop purchasing. Never seen anything like that before. They do that at Toylanta and Joelanta. Toylanta and Joelanta. Although I don't go and film all of that. They have the lobby swap, and then later on they do the hotel room bit, and that's also a way for people that are not even vendors, that are just visiting, to try to unload a few pieces to make some extra cash for the show as well. So that caught my eye, the blow mold there. And then this piece, this is just goofy. And I thought it was funny because it's goofy. And these two pieces are 2 feet tall. Obviously, that is Santa and Mrs. Claus. And they are, like I said, about 2 feet tall. You see them next to the lamp on vacation, because she's dressed like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? And then he's got dice and a mug of cocoa. So I guess they're on vacation in Vegas. I don't know. I just thought that was neat. I did not notice the price on them, but not something I would have probably brought home. Not quite vintage enough for me. It looks 90s. And there's Raccoon joining us. Glad you could make it today. And Munin wants to know what normal person wants complete strangers in their hotel room. Well, people that are selling stuff. People that are selling toys. Oh, if you're in your hotel room and the person can't afford what you got, you can do a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and make a sale. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my! Don't do that. Did you go by Triple C Toys? Blue Splash says one collector wasn't even part of the show, had his hotel room open to buy all of his Motu collection. Yeah, exactly. Triple C, as I understand it, and I highlighted them at Joelanta. I did a separate video because they had a lot of real oddball Masters of the Universe pieces from the 80s. And as I understand it, they knocked it out at Retro Toy Con again with a huge collection of just weird, hardly ever seen Masters of the Universe side merchandise, puppy stickers and record albums and costume sets and just oddball stuff that you don't normally see. Also, LPH, and I showed one of these in the unboxing. Was it this one? I don't remember which one it was. Hold on a second. Is these, okay? And this is the Disc Go case, Disc Go case. And this is a travel case for 45 RPM records. You twist locks, so you twist that, lift it off, and it's got this, and you slide. I see you. Where is it? Right there. You slide your 45s down on here, and it holds about 60 stacked like this, right? And then you plug that back in. You plug that back in, lock it, and there you go. And it came in 4 basic colors, and LPH got the idea because she has a lot of 45s. We'll go ahead and line these up somewhere. Just get a bunch of different colors and line them up, and that might be really interesting aesthetically. And so she's got the 4 basic colors. See, there's the pink, the green, mustard yellow, because that's so 60s/70s, that mustard yellow look, right? And then this turquoise blue one. And I think there's also a red one. And they also come in different patterns, like they have polka dots or stripes, and those can be more expensive. And then there's ones that have images on them, like there's a Beatles set, and those are ridiculously expensive. These don't cost very much. And Weird Fantastic Toys says, everyone hit the like button. Yeah, please do. Please do. And T. Stewart's here. Did you chime in yet? He says, people who don't understand why that's worth $400 are not the people who curate. Difference in collecting and curating. Yeah, and he says, I'm a conservationist. We try. Well, we love this stuff, and we love taking good care of it, preserving it. And, we love the nostalgia. We love the nostalgia of it. But this is just a neat way to do this. Problem being, though, that when she bought these, when they were shipped to us, they had more 45s already in them. So we have 345 RPM records, because people don't care about that stuff and they don't realize. And they were in really excellent shape, good stuff. And some of them are remarkably expensive. You'd be shocked what some people pay for the 45s. They're really underrated by most people. Not that she's going to sell any, because we hardly save anything. But yeah, great way to aesthetically display her 45s. She's been busy alphabetizing her collection, and she's got more coming. I think the same repeating colors, because like I said, polka dots and stripes and pictures. And there's also flowers. There's another one that has flower patterns on it. That 60s, like 6-point little flower. It looks like that thing that used to stick on the bottom of the bathtub, the no slip flower stickers. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Those can be quite expensive, but the plain ones, not very expensive at all. So she's been buying those so that we can get that set up. And I think that's going to look pretty good, actually. I think that's going to look pretty good. Johnny said there should be a sleeve on the record holder to indicate the records on the spindle. And the colors make it look vintage. Well, they are. I mean, these are the originals. These aren't like remakes. And you can really tell when you get to stuff like this, classic 60s kitchen decor colors, because you often will see Tupperware in colors like this, as well as a sort of a burnt orange. And these two, classic Tupperware, is what that makes me think of. What that makes me think of. And so we had that going on. And I found this, and I already had this. I had this sitting here because I was going to work it into this room. You know what that is, right? What's this? What's this? This poor woman sitting on this dude here, crushing him. You know what this is, right? This particular one is a vinyl bank. And while I was sifting through, Saturday Morning Fan is here. He says, Raiders, that's right. That's right. It's from the idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Throw me the idol. Throw me the idol. I throw you the whip. That actor is the same guy who played Dr. Octopus in the second Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, by the way. But this is a vintage one that I found while I was digging through some of our totes. And this one belonged to my youngest son. And what we did with this, what I did with it, when he was young, and I think he was about 4 years old when he got this. It was a couple of movies. There were like 3 movies he used to like to watch all the time. Okay? All the time. Here, see? Grrr. It was Superman 4 with the clone, I am the father now. You remember him. Superman 4. James and the Giant Peach, the stop motion photography film, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Loved that film. He was crazy for it. And he even had a Raiders costume he would wear and run around with a toy whip. I'm not kidding. And so I bought this for him, and I filled it with Chuck E. Cheese tokens. I filled this to the top with Chuck E. Cheese tokens. And while we were out in the park, is when I was still living in Topeka, Kansas, we were in the park downtown. They have a big park there with a rose garden and a carousel and some other stuff, of an original vintage, like 150-year-old carousel. And I had this in my bag, and I hid it in plain sight when he wasn't looking, so he could find it while he was wearing his Indiana Jones costume, right? And he freaked out, of course. He freaked out. And then, of course, it was, again, loaded with Chuck E. Cheese tokens. And so we got to go to Chuck E. Cheese. And I didn't realize I had this. I thought he still had this. But as Johnny points out, it belongs in a museum. It belongs in a museum. And it's going to be in a museum. I'm going to fit it in on one of these shelves back here and take care of this. And T. Stewart made a donation to the channel. It says, for LPH, a cup of coffee if she needs it. Oh, we need a cup of coffee, believe me, with all we've been through in the last 14 weeks. Because, again, today is week 15, taking care of her father-in-law. Or my father-in-law, her father, who has he has Alzheimer's, and his dementia is very severe. He doesn't, no short-term memory at all, no retention at all. It's been very difficult. But thank you very much, T. Stewart. We appreciate that. And of course, when people inquire about her, naturally I will tell her that people were asking after her. Oh, there's the jukebox, by the way. It's still not functional because I haven't had time to work on it. I got the lights going, I got the money changer going, but I have not been able to yet get the record changer to work. But I haven't had time either to really work with it, because he absorbs so much of the day as it stands. But it is what it is. Like I said, she needs the help. My wife needs the help. You can see my autographs back there too. It's in front of the jukebox. That's my Welcome Back Cotter autograph. Yeah, Munin says it's a nice looking jukebox. That is the restaurant style jukebox. This is not like the diner type that you see in the movies. This is the real one that you would have seen if you went to like Pizza Hut or something, because it's a tank. That thing is probably close to 500 pounds when it's loaded. It's really solid. It's all heavy wood, thick vinyl, and steel construction. So like when somebody is an ass and starts pounding on it, they can't hurt it. So yeah, this is a real restaurant jukebox, and it weighs a ton. It took a lot to get it down here. It took a lot to get it down here. But yeah, those are my autographs. That's my Welcome Back Cotter autograph. I know Johnny really likes that, and my Voyager autograph. I've got every signature of the entire Voyager cast on there except for one character, the guy who played Kim. I don't have his. Saturday Morning wants to know what's the most played song on it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Because I know you have the thing where it's an option for most popular selection, but it's not going to pull up if I can't get the turntable to roll over. And Johnny said, must have been a beast getting it down the stairs. We didn't have to bring it down the stairs. We brought it in through the basement door. But again, we still have to get it around the side of the house. And it was very, very difficult. And Renard wants to know if we have 8-track tapes. A couple. I don't know where they are, though, but not much. Not much. We have cassette tapes. We have CDs. We have vinyl records, obviously. No laser discs. And I think there's a couple of 8-tracks floating around. One of them is, I believe, Star Wars. But yeah. See, I've got everybody's signature on here. This one. Everybody's signature's on there except for Ensign Kim, because I never did catch up with him, but everybody else signed it. And then, of course, and I know Johnny loves this one, the complete, or the main cast from Welcome Back Cotter. Gabe and the Sweat Hogs. And one of these days I'll get those hung up someplace. And Saturday Morning says, I miss basements. South, never heard of them. It depends on your water table. We're close enough or deep enough, north enough in Georgia, I guess, that we can have a basement, because the further south you go, and when you start approaching swampland, they won't do it because it's a danger to the property. T. Stewart says they have 4 pinball machines. Wow, they take a lot of maintenance, like jukeboxes. Arcade electricians cost me $300 per hour in California. Yikes. I can imagine, though, if you've got a vintage pinball machine, yeah. And it's hard to just not play it, right? It's hard to not play it. I'd love to get a vintage pinball machine, certainly. And that's also something I'm worried about, too. If I can't, when I am able to get back to it, if I can't figure out what it is that's wrong with it, having to actually hire somebody and pay whatever it costs to have them tinker with it to get it going again. And I'm like, ugh, I can just imagine. And there's Frank and Frog joining us. It's just not in the budget, honestly. It's not in our budget right now. It's not in our budget right now. And here's the crown. I know somebody's waiting for this crown. Somebody's waiting for the crown. There it is. I'll wear the crown for a minute, because if I go to a show, I got to bring it with me now. Also, I got to bring the crown with me because they expect it now. And Johnny says I have Undertaker. Yes, I do. It was right behind the Sweat Hogs there. I think it's behind. Was it behind the Sweat Hogs? Yeah, this one. And this was a gift. I framed and matted this myself for LPH. That's The Undertaker and Paul Bear. Undertaker and Paul Bear. And it's a rare autograph now because I've pointed this out before. He will no longer sign it like this. He'll only make a U and a T with an arrow pointing down. He will no longer sign a complete line like this. He stopped doing it years ago. And then, of course, Paul Bear, you can't get that autograph anymore. But yeah, this I framed and matted. I got these and I framed and matted it for LPH some years ago. Because Undertaker is one of her favorites, one of her personal favorites. She likes The Undertaker and she likes Bob Backlund and Randy Savage. I think are like three of her favorites. There you go. Munin says the crown is mandatory. One of these days, I'm going to get a belt to go with it. I'll get a like a championship belt, but it'll say Toy King on it. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Saturday Morning says VHS only video rental store opening up in Virginia. They only rent VHS tapes. VHS is really big with 20-year-olds. Looks like crazy. Got any videotapes? Yeah, I've got several. I've got several. I think I have a few in here. I have a handful of sealed ones, vintage, that are back here. Let me see. Yeah, I got a couple here. But I do have a handful of VHS tapes. These are all sealed, like I said. There's, oops. Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. Oh, no, this isn't Enter the Dragon, is it? Which one is this? This isn't Chinese Connection. Oh, it is Chinese Connection. All right. Yeah. Chinese Connection. Sorry, I got confused. And like I said, it's sealed. It's never been opened. I've got Total Recall. Classic Schwarzenegger film. This is one of his best. I think his two best films are probably this and Terminator 2. I've got One Man Army from the Wu-Tang collection. See? One Man Army. Just for the hell of it, because I love it. Vintage Kung Fu films. Pale Rider. And Aliens, which of course is the second film when it became an action film instead of a horror film. But I don't have, and this is of course the special edition, which means that the scene that was cut from the original VHS release was put back in. And I have some more, but they're packed up somewhere or put away somewhere or whatever, you know, as we continue to dig things out. But this is all I have down here. Think of this being the media room, that's the place for it. This is the place for it. And Saturday Morning loves the classic VHS art. What's Raccoon saying there? It says Monster Mania is this weekend. People are posting autograph prices and they're insane. 100 for an 8x10, 120 for signing something you brought, $40 extra if you want them to write a quote. Yeah. You know how I feel about all of that because, again, I grew up in an era where autographs were free. Nobody charged for an autograph, or if they did, it was like $5 or $10 at the most. And you know, it was just a courtesy as a promotion, usually. And it just started getting weird. And they sit there and they claim, and this is the argument from these celebrities, and I will contradict that argument right now. that they have to they have to drive that price up because people are going to turn around and flip it like on eBay. And so they have to raise the price to measure off with eBay values, right? This is one of the main arguments. Oh, well, you know, people are just trying to profit off my autograph. One, you're selling your autograph. If you sold it, then you sold it. What the person does with it is their business. It's nice to imagine that they're just going to appreciate that autograph and keep it. Like I've got Felix Silva and oh, what's his name from Buck Rogers, Gil Gerard's autograph on 2 Mego figures out there. I'm not going to try to sell them. Okay. But aftermarket, these people's autographs don't sell for as much as they charge. So where do you get off charging that much then? You're not being honest. You're not being honest. You just want to cash in. That's what Munin says. Autographs have become a ripoff and a waste of time. Yeah. And that's my take on it. Again, it's a bit insulting for me because I come from an era where it was free. You know, Great Eastern Conventions when they had McFarlane, free autographs. You know, when they had Jim Lee, free autographs. You know, how much is McFarlane's autograph now as he continues to raise the price? Yeah, Johnny says, in essence, they're punishing the people that really collect and keep the autograph. Yeah, because you don't know what they're going to do with it. And like I said, you are selling your autograph. So what difference does it make to you? Once you've sold it, okay, once you've sold it to that person, it's out of your hands. What they do with it is now at their prerogative. So don't act like you care if they went and put it on eBay. And especially when you're talking about people who aren't even B-listers. You got C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K listers lined up left and right. People who were on a soap opera back in the 80s signing autographs. People who like retired from football like 28 years ago or whatever, signing autographs. You're not a top celebrity, okay? Give me a break. Johnny said minimum for Stallone and Eastwood is $750 for an 8x10. Gosh, yeah, give me $750 for my autograph. I'll personalize it too. Man, I'm in the wrong line of work, ladies and gentlemen. Wrong line of work. Oh my God. I tell you what, I do not know about these people. I do not know about these people. Are these overexposed? Yeah, I think they are. I had some Viewmaster stuff out. I'm just looking at it. Because, you know, sometimes they get overexposed and they get this kind of a sepia look to them. You know, they get this weird sepia look. And is this, you know, I bet you I've done this before. I wonder if I can like close up on the camera lens with this. Because I've done that before where I got like right up into the camera lens. I can try with the Viewmaster. I get that lined up. Is it backwards? That can't be backwards. Let me see. Cotton candy. Let's see if that works. Hey. Look at that, huh? All right. Is that nice and clear? These are the animated ones. These are the ones that are like, see, it's Woody Woodpecker. Yeah, Woody Woodpecker. But you know, these are the ones that are just drawings. And it actually looks exactly like the little Golden Books art. Okay. I thought that would work because I've done this before with different ones. You know what I've thought about doing is getting real good close up. Hold on a second. There we are. Getting really good close up photographs of some of these, and then like making a reel for the channel. Is that coming in? Now it's acting up. Hold on a second. There we go. Look at that, huh? Unit says the image is clear as day. But the ones with that style of animation, let's see who this is. Oh, this is, I think this is New Adventures of Superman. Oh, I like that image. I like this image. Tell me what you think of this. Look at that. Beautifully done. Viewmaster really forgotten and underrated at this point. How many, like, damn near a century of fun with Viewmaster and Viewmaster type components. But I think this is the, yeah, this is, you'll see on this image, Superman, the New Adventures, 1967. And they had New Adventures of Aquaman, and they were played back to back on Saturday mornings. And they had New Adventures of Batman too, but that was like 70s filmation. But I always liked the ones that had instead of that type of image, like a cartoon drawing image like this. I prefer the ones that were done with models. And interestingly enough, you know what they did here? They drew over a model kit. Because if you look at the background, that's a real three-dimensional background of a miniature kit, a miniature model with cartoon drawings superimposed. Let me look at the next one here. Oh, yeah, definitely. Now look at the counter and the bank vault. But then you see they just kind of drew Clark Kent in there. That's really clever. I'll put some more of your images up there. And there's Superman changing in front of the payphone, not actually getting into the phone booth. But you see how they did it. And again, I was thinking of, I thought it would be kind of cool if I could get really good photography through the lens and do like a Viewmaster demonstration on the channel. Because there's phrasing. Like if you look in the middle there, it tells you about the panel that you're looking at. Like this is panel number 6, and it says, working against time, he quickly tore the vault doors open. And then you look in there and you see Superman literally ripping the vault door open. How amazing is that? And then panel number 7, Superman revived Lois and foiled the crook's plans. There he is, carrying Lois because she's a damn load. I never did like Lois Lane. I used to love Viewmaster. But the ones that I really, really like are the ones that had, that's really good color too. It's hard to find them when the color is good. Usually, let me show you an example. I'm sure I must have some that are messed up. Oh, that's a step into the universe. A lot of the ViewMaster reels that I have are like educational ones. Here's a good example. This is the Peanuts one here, right? And I'll put one in and I'll show you what I mean. Because it's like they get a bad color saturation, and then they get like this. It gets like this sepia color with a reddish sort of a tint. So yeah, it can be difficult to find them. Really, really clean. Really clean and clear looking. And some of the ones that I have here are really, really clean. And this one is this one's. Hold on, let me get that balanced. Oh yeah, these are the types I really like. If I can get that to focus there. There we go. Who's that? You recognize it? The ones where it's all like stop motion modeling. They built a model, a complete scale, like 12 scale model, and they have like a stop motion clay over wire little figure like this. Who knows who that is? Yeah, Saturday morning God, it's Chilly Willy. And the first panel, I wish I could fly like Sydney the Seagull, Chilly Willy thought to himself. Isn't that clever? Yeah, these are amazing. These are amazing. The amount of work that these guys must have gone through. What do you think about me trying to do that? Yeah, thank you, Homu. I couldn't think of it. He says it's puppetoon. Yes, I couldn't think of the right term. I couldn't think of the right term. Thank you. And Sylvan, you got to go? Sylvan says he has to go. Or like this one with Chilly Willy diving here and mingling amongst the fish. What do you think about me like trying to get some still shots from deep inside here and doing a showcase on the channel? I tried something similar with book and record sets, if you might remember. I did a couple and I got in trouble. YouTube ScrewTube gave me a hard time. There we go. Chilly Willy's frozen. He's iced over. I like that's a nice one. I know you can't see it. Here you go. That's with the igloo and everything. And when I was a kid, I did have a ViewMaster. I don't know where I got it from, but I only had one set of reels for it, and it was Peanuts. And Sylvan says, no, he just came in. Okay, well, thanks for joining us. And a couple of people there said that, yeah, that would be that might be fun. I may do that. I may do that. See, here's a Peanuts one. This one's in good shape. Here's a Peanuts one. Oh, I put it in backwards. I can get it lined up right. Yeah, see, that's so much effort went into designing those and get it into focus. There we go. I could attempt to get some still shots through the ViewMaster. Johnny wants to know if I have Wizard of Oz for ViewMaster. I don't think so. I don't think I do. I know anybody who's just joining us here would be like, what the hell is going on here? But yeah, you should have been here earlier. That's what. Look at Snoopy caught the ball again. Come on, Charlie. You're going to have to be a little faster than that, aren't you? Now he's going to fight over the ball. If I can get that in focus. That one doesn't want to work. There we go. It's coming in. See? Now Snoopy won't let go of the ball, so he's having to run to home plate, carrying Snoopy to get the ball to home plate. Trying to get Pigpen out, because Pigpen is running around the bases. What, no dust cloud? Seriously. Yeah, Pigpen is safe, and that's like early looking. Come on now. That's the early Charlie Brown. Let me try that again. There we go. You can tell by the shape of his head, because the design of their bodies went through different incarnations over the years. That looks like the 60s Charlie Brown, actually. Yeah. And then you can tell also by the elongated nose on Snoopy that that's an earlier version. But I always really enjoyed that stuff. Always really enjoyed that stuff growing up. Now, I was looking through this stuff earlier, because I do have a lot of Viewmaster reels. I've got a whole kit here, actually. Let's see. It's my Viewmaster storage container. And you see all of those reels, but they're all educational ones. They're not like, they're not the fun stuff, you know, and they came with the box. I got this all as a, I got this stuff all together at like an outdoor show. What you see, there's like Huckleberry Finn. I think that's based off the movie, live action film. But then, you know, Busch Gardens, Smithsonian, American Indians, Bermuda, Visit Boston, Boston again, Massachusetts. And this is actually, by the way, this is not even like sightseeing tourism. Viewmaster also made discs with maps on them. And it would be a Viewmaster screen. This is your original. It was like, it would have pictures of maps, and there was a screen, and you put it in your car. How crazy is that? See, National Park, Lake Louise, Glacier National Park, Williamsburg, Banff, all of that was in here when I bought this. And it was super cheap. I mean, they didn't want nothing for it. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it, you know. But it's not the cool stuff. You know, when you're a kid, what do you want? You want, it's a Snoopy, Raggedy Ann and Andy, Cinderella. Look at that. Clearance tag. Caldors. Caldors. $1.99 reduced to $1.57. Who remembers Caldors? I think that's more of an East Coast thing. An East Coast thing. Sylvan had Lone Ranger, Roy Rogers, Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, see? And yeah, Johnny, who wants educational reels? I guess. And who was that? DJ Mr. Joel. Once I was at Goodwill auction, there was a lot of, maybe thousands of sets and multiple viewers of all descriptions. He-Man, Voltron, Battle of the Planets, Smurfs, Star Wars, Gremlins, Michael Jackson, Hulk, and tons of others. King Kong. Yeah. They did. They made everything that you can think of. Viewmaster probably did it. Viewmaster probably did it. Even like, look at this. Hold on a second. Like these. This is like these reels. I put it in backwards again. Let me show you. I think these reels are from NASA. Yeah, see? Look at this. Viewmaster did everything. So yeah, I mean you could have a whole little world in these Viewmaster reels. And I think it's a great toy for a kid. But, kids don't know anything about stuff like this anymore. When I'm going to look at a Viewmaster before I get my cell phone. Johnny says, you mean a paper folding map? No. I mean, you know how like they have the Viewmaster player with like a screen in the front? Right? But you put it in your car and you put a reel in it and it's got maps on it and you click through to look at the map on a lighted screen. And I think they did that in like the 60s. I don't think it took off, but brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. And Saturday Morning, of course, points out they had talking ones. Yeah, there was a talking Viewmaster. And it looked like this, but it was longer. The bottom portion was like this. I don't have a talking Viewmaster. I don't have a talking Viewmaster. And DJ says King Kong Viewmaster was wearing a crown like yours in a sleeve on that one. He did in the 70s. They did put a crown on his head in the final scene before he escaped from the cage. They did put a crown on his head. It didn't look like this, though. I'll show you a picture of it. As King Kong, and it had the petrol oil logo in the center of the crown. From because it was the was it Petrol Oil Company? I don't remember the name of the company. Let me show you a picture. You'll see what I'm talking about. There you go. That's the 70s King Kong. In the final scene, where they have him in the cage and all the flashing lights and the noise and everything freaked him out, and he breaks loose. And they had put that crown on his head. Excuse me. Because why not kidnap a 50-foot ape and bring him to downtown New York and make a spectacle out of him and don't expect anything to happen? No. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Oh, no. Never mind the fact that it was cruel to ape nap him in the first place. And Johnny Future says he has the original movie poster from that. Yeah. And Saturday Morning says, do you remember cartoon booths? Yes, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. He says 25 cents, get a Bugs Bunny, Mighty Mouse, or Deputy Dog short while your mom buys groceries in a little kid-sized booth. I do remember those. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was like a photo booth. You remember you go in and you take your picture and you pull the curtain, but it was shorter and it had a little seat in it. And you put your quarter in and it would play a cartoon for you for a few minutes. Like he pointed out, shorts, Woody Woodpecker, Mighty Mouse, something like that, Mickey Mouse. So that, yeah, I do remember those cartoon booths. I don't remember the last time I saw one. That stuff. Could you hear me during that? Because that happened last week where it kept getting interrupted and then I got kicked off completely. You might remember. This Action Joe Figs joining us. Glad you could make it today. As Bernard said, he had something like a Viewmaster, only his had a turning handle with a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Oh, that's that. Yeah, it looks like a gun, and you have a cartridge you slide in it, and you turn it like this, and you look in there. Yeah, Fisher Price made those. Fisher Price made those. Yeah, Johnny says I froze, and Raccoon said there was no sound. Okay, yeah. I don't know what the hell that was. Hopefully we're good now. And again, this happened last week where I got, for whatever reason, there was an interruption several times, and I got kicked off and was not able to get back on and just had to call it a day, which I would like at least to be able to say goodbye to people. You know, I feel like it's discourteous to just disappear, but it's not anything I could control, unfortunately. It's not anything that I could control. But yeah, I do remember those booths. I remember the ride-on machines. You don't see those anymore. I remember when you'd go to the supermarket and they had those toy and candy and bubblegum machines, and there'd be like 50 of them in the front of the store in like a vestibule, a little area just before you got to the shopping carts. You don't see that anymore. You don't see that anymore. All of that has gone away. Action Joe thinks it's interference from the crown. Yeah, is that what it is? Is that what it is? I want to get a belt to go with it. What do you think about that? I've talked about it before, like something like a wrestling belt or a boxing belt, a real one, not like a knockoff, but an actual real belt, customized, because trophy shops make them, you know, that says like Toy King on it or something like that, and I'll wear it to the shows. What do you think of that? Action Joe says I need a robe. a robe? I wouldn't want a full-on cape now. That's too much. I wouldn't want a full-on cape. Maybe a short one just for the hell of it for the conventions, because I don't want to get too carried away and then I'm full-on cosplaying. It's bad enough I'm wearing the crown to the shows. But like I said, people have come to really expect the crown. You know, they remember the crown. They expect the crown. And if I don't have it, they're like, where's the crown, man? I watch your show all the time. Do you have the crown? Can I take a selfie? It's crazy. I'm like, who the hell am I? People want to take my selfie. I don't know what to think. Johnny remembers the chicken that laid an egg quarter toy vending machine. That sounds familiar. And Munin likes the championship belt idea with the crown. A cape and a katana. I have to carry a sword now, too. I have to carry a sword. Well, and I can dispatch people that I don't agree with. Is that the idea? Off with his head. Never mind. I'll do it myself. Thank you. I'll do it myself. But again, yeah, I mean, you all know the story of the crown. I actually did a video even talking about it. It's not a cheap crown. It's actually a really decent prop crown. And I got it at Value Village for $1. Plus tax. Plus tax. But yeah, I got it at Value Village for $1 and whatever change. Just as a gag. Hey, I'll wear it on the show and, you know, it'll be fun. And then from that point forward, everybody's like, where's the crown? Put the crown back on. Go get the crown. And then it started happening at the shows too, where I would go to the conventions and people would ask where the crown is. And like, how do you even know who I am? Saturday Morning says, get a Cobra Commander's stick like he carried in G.I. Joe the movie. Oh, with the Cobra, with the hood, the hooded open Cobra on the top. Or maybe like Kingpin, the 70s Kingpin. And he's got the stick with the big fat fake diamond on top. Looks like a doorknob. I don't know. I wouldn't want to get too weird with it. I wouldn't want to get that. Oh, no. Johnny says I need a pop myself from the Funko Pop shop. Yeah, well, they're still in business before they go completely belly up. I guess I could get I could pop myself. Um, I guess. Did they make a Jerry the King Lawler pop? They could, I could just say that's me. And Sylvian says, are there cereals with gifts inside the box, or is that dyed up? I don't know. I don't know if they, because I don't pay attention to breakfast cereal anymore. The last time I looked, um, it was like download codes or some bullshit. And who cares about that? I want an actual prize, man. I've been looking into that. You know what I would really like to get? And I think Post Cereal made them because they were known for this. They did bike reflectors. You remember they had a robot, they had Fred Flintstone, and they had Sugar Bear in different colors. But the biggest one that they did was Garfield because he came in like 5 different colors with 3 different head configurations. You know, one with him smiling, one with his tongue out. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool to get every version of the Garfield bike reflector from the 80s and frame that? I think that would be cool. And then there was 2 because they did the bike reflectors with Garfield again in the early 90s, but in like day glow colors, like fluorescent pink, fluorescent green, fluorescent blue, like that. So there's more than just 25. But most of the rest of them, like the robots and Sugar Bear and Fred Flintstone, I think there's only 4, if I remember correctly, 4 standard colors. But I thought that would be neat. They made so much great stuff. They really did. I remember also, I think it was Post Cereal again, did the little plastic trophies. Do you remember the little plastic trophies? But that's a can of worms too, because you have to remember every one of those toys they made, like, or the pencil holders, they had the Flintstones, Fred and Barney and Dino pencil holders where they're standing with their hand like this and you slide the pencil in their hand. They did in a multitude of different colors. So it can be a real can of worms to track all of them down. Saturday Morning says that is King Vitamin still around. I don't think so. I don't think so. And Frankenfrog said, no, cereal boxes aren't fun anymore. Aren't fun anymore. I totally understand. Because we came from a different era and it tied in with Saturday mornings. Because Saturday mornings is where you would see a lot of those cereals that were advertising to kids. And you would sit there and you would watch it. And you'd want that cereal. And you'd want to eat that cereal watching that show. I wasn't fortunate enough to have good cereals. My mother used to get the generic version of Corn Flakes or the generic version of Rice Krispies or the generic version of Cheerios and powdered milk, not real milk, powdered milk. And man, it took a lot of sugar and a lot of patience because, you know, powdered milk needs dynamite to mix it up. that shit does not want to mix. So you'd always have, it was like putting it in water with white clumps floating in it. I rarely ever had real cereal. I really had real cereal. And there's Austin joining us. Glad you could make it today, Austin. Always happy for anybody who drops in. Really trying to come up with ideas to promote the channel further to reach an even wider audience. I'd like to be able to reach out to more people and just share the nostalgia and the love of the hobbies. It's not easy because nothing works. At @Persans doesn't work. Hashtags don't work. Sharing on social media doesn't work. Anybody here from one of the posts on Facebook? I'll be shocked if you are. Yeah, it doesn't work. But yeah, just trying to reach out to a wider audience and, again, share the love of the hobbies, the vintage toys and vinyl records and comic books. Somebody asked about the book collection. Was that you, John? Were you talking about actual books or were you talking about comics? Were you talking about comics? Yeah, Saturday Morning says 2 proofs of purchase and send off for GoBots or He-Man toys from cereal boxes. Yes. And that's actually how you got the Captain Crunch board game. because, and I've talked about this before because a lot of people aren't aware, the Captain Crunch and the soggy little figurine, and I have them in the other room, were only available in the cereal box. In order to get the glow in the dark soggies, you had to get the board game, which had to be ordered with box tops and shipping and handling directly from Quaker. That's how you got the soggy figurines, because all 4 of them came inside the board game. And my sister had that board game when I was growing up. Johnny says he's talking about actual books, not comics. Action Joe says, tell me about it. I've been stuck at 450 subs for a long time now, but I have a niche audience. But no matter, I'm having fun. And that's really what it's all about. Yeah, to enjoy what you're doing. And of course, I invite other people, if you are other people who are watching, take a look at his channel and, you know, share the love. Anybody who has a channel on here, and I know a couple of people do, go ahead and plug your channel. Just tell people I have a channel, and folks, take a look. Take a look and give them a subscription and help them out a little bit. Helps with the algorithm. But Munin says, I understand wanting to grow the channel, but we don't want the wrong people joining and ruining the whole thing. Oh, no. And Dr. Cohen says, Fruit Loops leftover milk was better than eating the cereal. Fruit Loops had a lot of great prizes, too. Fruit Loops had records. They had I have some of the Fruit Loops records, too. I don't know where they are. They're probably still in a tote. We still got a lot of stuff packed up we have not had a chance to get to. But I have the Fruit Loops records. They're Fruit Loops workout records. They're aerobic records. Can you believe that crap? And they had the Target game. A lot of cereal companies, Kellogg's did a lot of those, where it's like a felt that you hang with with imagery of the cereal character, and you get 3 Velcro little balls that you throw for as the target game. Do you remember those? I had a Fruit Loops one that somebody gave me when I was a kid. I should look for it again. I've been looking for a lot of stuff that I remember having when I was a kid recently. And Johnny wants to know if I have any movie that's first time ever on VHS. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Action Joe said he went to Disney World last week, shocked at the amount of streamers there. It was wow. Really? And Saturday Morning said Donkey Kong was Captain Crunch with barrels. A lot of the cereals, that's all it is. Like, or Ralston cereal. I think almost everything Ralston did was the same freaking cereal. They just changed the box, but they had some great franchises, Ralston. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, because they had C-3POs. Strawberry Shortcake. Who else did they have? They did a lot. Ghostbusters. But yeah, the comic books are back behind here, because now this camera I can move around. The other one I couldn't. It was dangerous. It would fall apart. But that's where the comics are. You've seen this. And the magazine rack there. Those are vintage magazines and highlights magazines and stuff on that magazine rack. And then there's the comics. The first 3 there are LPHs. And they're identical to the record racks that I built. And I just made these 2 because we got the idea that comics would probably fit in these nicely. And indeed, 3 rows fit on each shelf, and we can thumb through them. It's a great alternative to having little white boxes everywhere. And actually, each of these shelves holds the equivalent of 7 short boxes. But those first 3 are LPHs. And then the last 2 there are mine. And then I've got some boxes in the corner because I ran out of room. So I need another one. if we can squeeze it in here somewhere. And then the vinyl record shelves that I also built. And I got 2 there, 1, 2 next to the jukebox. And those are my specific vinyl records. And then the rest of the vinyl records are upstairs because she has 4 of those shelves full of vinyl records in the living room with her stereo system. And then you can't see it, but behind the chair there is my cathode ray television. I don't think you can see it at all. The chair is blocking it. But yeah, I got the cathode ray TV back there. It's right behind the chair. And it was the free one because that TV was free at an estate sale. They didn't even want to bother to price it. They were just like, if anyone wants to take it, take it. That big old wooden floor model, and it does work. It is functional, and I am going to try to hook up probably either the Atari or the Nintendo NES, or possibly both of them. I might try to hook up, because it's designed for that type of a hookup. I might try to hook up the Sega Genesis, the original ones, and just play it totally retro style, 100% retro. And then I've got a brand new condition vintage VCR sitting on top of the TV. It's hard to make it out. Sitting right on top of the TV there. It's factory fresh, straight out of the late 80s. And then my on top of that is my Marlboro clock. And Munin says I did an awesome job on the shelves. I appreciate that. Look at Dr. Cohen. He says, Highlight Magazine's one of the reasons I became a dentist, because I could only read it when I went to my childhood dentist. Great fun. Yeah, the that's where I remember them from, because Highlights magazines, if you went to the doctor's office or the dentist's office specifically, they always had Highlights magazines. And that was so nostalgic, and that's why we got so many of them, because you see we got a ton of them up in there. And those are from we've got them going back to the 50s. 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s we have. We don't have all of them, but we got a bunch. And they started making them in the 40s. And they still are out there, and they still produce the magazine. You can order it mail order. And they're fantastic. They're fantastic. But that's, just a little bit of a look around in the media room there. And then, of course, in the corner, you've seen it. I know you guys have seen a lot of this before, going right along the wall there. Some of it's blocked up by the posters. Those 4 Burger King posters, those are the 1978 Burger King posters. You'll notice the artwork matches the glasses exactly. I'm going to hang them in the space above the TV. That's why they're lined up there. But yeah, those shelves are all full of vintage video games. And then behind those 4 posters are all vintage arcade systems, home arcade systems. The Nintendo NES and Atari 2600 and Sega Genesis and Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2, a lot of that kind of stuff back there. And then Saturday morning and after school cartoon stuff there. And there's the Fraggle Rocks. I showed those a couple weeks ago. The Fraggle Rocks in their new home. The magazine rack that we got that went with the comic book rack there from an estate sale, and then the newspaper rack, which I think was a steal at $25. for the vintage newspaper rack. Love that thing, and it works great. Works great. And then my Santa Claus is next to the fireplace there, which is blocked off. It was blocked off like that when we moved in. They covered the fireplace because they put that gas unit in front of it. We have no intention of really using any of that down here, but since it is a fireplace, may as well put Santa next to it. Johnny says, do you remember Dynamite and Pizzazz? Yeah, right there. You can see a Pizzazz magazine on that newspaper rack. And Munin wants to know if I have ever played Resident Evil 4 on PlayStation 2. I don't think I have. I don't think I have that. I don't think I have that. But yeah, Media Lounge as it currently stands. Until we can get back to work on it. Because we do have, a little bit more finagling to do. But as I pointed out, with the current circumstances and the little bit of a family emergency we're trapped up in, it's just not plausible right now. Because I should have long since, I would have started work on Toy Room 2 weeks ago. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't be away that long, and I can't bring him anywhere that I'm doing any kind of construction because the room is bare. I got to put up studs. I got to put up sheetrock. There's a lot of work needs to be done in there, and I can't do it with him around. So hopefully it'll be up by the time we get to Toylanta in March. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to at least get Toy Room 2 done, and then Toy Room 3 is going to take a lot longer. A lot longer. But yeah, that's where we are in here. That's where we are in here. We about got this room where we want it. We about got Toy Room 1 where we want it. But Room 2 and 3, it's going to be a little while. It's going to be a little while until we can work on it. Johnny likes the movie posters. Yeah, I don't have much of mine in here. I've got, again, the Star Wars ones, and I really wanted to put those up. They are original Burger King Star Wars posters. And they are, I had them. I had those when I was a kid. I got them from the Burger King near my home when I was a kid. And I had the set. Actually, I think I only had the first 3. I don't think I had the Luke. I'm trying to remember. But wanted to find them again when I got to be an adult, tracked them down, framed and matted them, and I want to put them up. It's very nostalgic for me. Johnny said, what is that poster above the floor TV? Oh, it's not a poster. That is actually a puzzle that LPH framed. And it's all vintage cereal boxes. See? Look at all those cereal boxes that we can't afford. Because if we had the real ones, they'd be a damn fortune. You know, vintage cereal boxes is a big market. Not very many survived. But yeah, that's what this is. Just a framed puzzle that she, it's just kind of stuck there for now because, again, haven't been able to hang anything in here. Haven't had the time. But we're going to, again, we're going to get to it. Munin says that there's many games that they can recommend for the PlayStation 2. My default, I always enjoyed most. Like when I go back to it, the most advanced system I have is an Xbox 360. And I don't remember the last time I even touched it. The two systems I love the most are the Nintendo NES, the original Nintendo, and the Sega Genesis. I love those two systems. Those are the ones I always want to play. I want to, if you know, Nintendo NES, Low G Man was always fun. For example, I love the Low G Man, or Nintendo NES, but Streets of Rage 2 or Golden Axe 2 were really good ones. But yeah, those are the two systems I always want to, the two systems I always think of the most. And even more so than the Atari, because, you know, the Atari was the first system I had, which I purchased myself. No, the Omnivision was the first one I had. My uncle gave it to me, sent it to me for Christmas one year in the 70s, and my mother would not allow me to use it because she didn't want it on her TV. So I never used it. It sat in a box until it just disappeared one day. The Atari 2600 I bought used myself with my own money from my paper route from a friend of mine that was getting rid of his. So I bought it, and he had like 40 or 50 game cartridges with it. And I paid him $50. And so that was my first system, and I played that all the time. And then the Nintendo NES, I got myself again later on in life, and that was after I moved out of the house. And then a Sega Genesis finally. I bought the Sega Genesis from Woolworths when they were going out of business. And they were running every week an additional 10% off in their liquidation. And so when the Sega stuff got up to about 50%, I started buying it. And Christopher is here. He says, you guys have a good Thanksgiving. I sure hope so. Thank you. And as well as all of you, if you celebrate the holiday, I hope you have a good time. Definitely. We're just going to keep it simple, you know. We're just going to keep it simple. But yeah, when Woolworths, when they hit about 50% off, I started buying Sega Genesis stuff. And I think at that time I was working at J. Builder and Sons supermarket. I was the grocery department manager at J. Builder and Sons on Brookline. They're long since out of business. And that was fun for me. Even just the original Sonic the Hedgehog cartridges came with it. Mind-blowing at that time. Mind-blowing at that time. It's amazing the difference a few extra bits will make when you're going from 8-bit on Nintendo NES to 16-bit in the Sega Genesis system. It's night and freaking day. It's such a huge difference. And Munin said, wow, she didn't even let you use the TV. No. No. I wasn't allowed to use it. You're not wrecking my TV with that garbage. I remember. And I was so, and it was nothing. You know, the Omni system, it was shaped like a Cylon Raider, but it was white, big oval, and it had on each side 3 knobs, and then two or three switches in the middle, something like that. There was no cartridge or anything. You just plugged it or tapped it, because you remember you used to have those 2 U-prongs, and you connect it to the 2 screws at the back of the TV where you would put an auxiliary antenna and then turn it to like channel 3 or something. And it would receive a signal from the game system that way. And all it was like 5 or 6 versions of Pong. So you would just, you know, not like I could even play with anyone anyways. I would have, because no one was allowed to come to our house. I was not allowed to have friends over. I couldn't have, nobody ever came to the house. So if I could use it, I'd have to do it myself and be both sides. Yeah, she never allowed me to hook it up, and then just tossed it away one day, I guess. But yeah, then I got the Atari myself because at that point I had my own little television that I had found, and the one that I had found, actually, let me switch that. The one that I found, because I've talked about that before. When I was a kid, I I guess I stumbled across a robbery. It was a wooded area, and there was a big, like 25-inch color TV and a stereo system sitting in the woods, and they were just sitting in the woods. And looking back, I figure somebody must have stole them and left them there to get them later. And I went and I got a neighbor kid who was older than me and told him there's some stuff sitting in the woods. I know we're in the woods where there's a TV and a stereo. I want the TV. You can have the stereo if you help me carry them because they're too heavy for just me. And he was like, okay. And we made a deal, and that's what we did. And we brought the TV to my house and then the stereo to his house, and they both worked fine. And then, but she took over the color. It was a big color TV. She took it over, but at least I got to take the old TV, even though it was like a 15-inch black and white. And that's what I hooked up the Atari to when I bought it myself again. And there's Boxer Pit, it says. That's the yeah. By the way, if your names look kind of funny, YouTube did something weird and changed them. Okay, so it says Boxer Pit, and I know that's not right because I recognize the I recognize the thumbnail. It says, "Hey, Dave from Yonkers, how you doing? How's LPH and her dad and the cats?" Dad is off the deep end. Just being straight up. He's, of course, there's no improvement, and it can only continue to go down. He's been very difficult to deal with. But and we are in week 15 right now. LPH is hanging in there, doing the best she can under the circumstances, and the cats are okay. Hobo was sick this week, but he's recovered now. He's doing better. I always got to keep an eye on Hobo because you remember he has feline AIDS, which is not an STD. In felines, it's transmitted through biting. If somebody's bitten really badly, they could catch it. But it is autoimmune and autoimmune deficiency disorder, but for cats. And no, it doesn't transfer to other animals either if you're not sure. Yeah, I'm immune, and she took the TV I found. She let me have the black and white one, though, and I put it in my room. And when I got the Atari, I hooked it up to that, and I played the hell out of it. Because I never had a system like that, a home system. And even though by then everyone else had Intellivision and ColecoVision and whatever, I had that Atari, and it was mine. It's mine. Yeah, Johnny says we're all numbers. Yeah, another brick in the wall. And Robert is here. He says, what happened to my mother? I don't know. I haven't spoken to her in more than a decade, at least, probably longer than that. If something tragic happened, I would probably find out through my sister because my sister is still in contact with our aunt. They're still in contact with our aunt. And my aunt would tell her and she would tell me. But I'm sure, you know what? It's probably a lot longer. It's probably closer to 15 years. The last time I did hear with her, and it's a little, a little bit personal, but the last time I did hear from her, she was interfering with my custody case with my kids. Just out of the blue, I hear from the courthouse or from the social worker, your mother contacted us. I'm like, what? Bad mouthing me, and I'm trying to rescue those kids because they were being abused by my ex. And I mean, they weren't eating, like they were picked up stealing potatoes from a Dillon's supermarket and eating them raw. Seriously. And that's, the court decided, gee, maybe it wasn't a good idea to give her custody after all, and reversed their decision in 2007. Because she got custody in 2003, and I fought for 4 years. And then when they found out how bad it was, they gave them to me. And then, so yeah, actually, it's been since 2007 that I've even heard from her. Because after I found out that she was running interference, because my ex called her and she called them, contacted the courthouse and told them I was evil or something. And I called her up and I gave her what for, and never spoke to her again. But yeah, if something happened to her, I'm sure I would find out through my sister. And Boxer Pit, please remind me of your real name. The Boxer Pit made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Boxer Pit. Goes a long way towards our felines, because again, we do donations typically I use towards cat supplies, primarily cat supplies, to take care of our lovely little shelter animals, because they mean the world to me. I really do care about them all. They and I'll show you, let me see, my real overexposed picture of me with Hobo while I was nursing him again, because he was like I said, he was sick this week. But so when he gets sick, it's really bad because of the feline AIDS. It's a terrible photo, but I took this picture like Wednesday. And Raccoon still has their Atari and a ton of games. Can't play them on the big TV. It's distorted. Yeah, you got to get a Cathode Ray. Robert forgot to say hi. That's okay, Robert. That's okay. But yeah, that's me with Hobo in our shelter area, our outdoor shelter area, because I spent a lot of time with him on Wednesday, keeping an eye on him, because I was really worried about him. I was really worried about him because if he gets sick, it's really bad because of his condition. And of course, yeah, he has no teeth, which is how come everybody knows him so well as Hobo. Poor Hobo, no teeth. One of my biggest rescues, because he was dying when he was found. Him and Dad, both near death. And Christopher says, God bless. Well, thank you. And Robert asked about Dad. I don't know him. I don't know. Yeah, thank you, Boxer. Rich and Kelly from Yonkers. I know that, and I just couldn't think. But yeah, it says Boxer Pit now. Boxer Pit. Rich from Yonkers, of course. And he doesn't like what they did to the name. What the heck is that? That's the YouTube algorithm giving you an @ identity. And I would look into changing it, everybody, because there is a function by which you can open that up and change it if you're eligible. And you should be eligible to change it every, I think, 3 to 4 months. So if you want to go in there and fix that, I invite you to do so. I invite you to do so. But yeah, because you see, like my moniker says @open by chance. So I was fortunate to cement mine early, but they'll decide on one for you. The algorithm will decide on one for you if you don't do it yourself. So yeah, please do go in there and fix that, everybody. But yeah, Rich from Young, I knew that, and I just couldn't think. The Boxer Pit threw me off. And Munin says, glad to hear Hobo's doing better. Absolutely. Yeah, he was back to his old bouncy self, climbing up on me and licking my face and like man, he purrs loud. He is like a little motor. He is really loud. Eating again, and that's really important. If they're eating, that's a great sign. And then, of course, yeah, there's my couch setting there, and that's what the first one there is Daniel. You remember Daniel? And then right up against him is Monkey, because Monkey sleeps right on top of him. And then that's Miss Kitty behind them on the sofa. Robert says YouTube put numbers at the end of my name. They did that with a lot of people. And Johnny said he was able to change his. He put the year 1985 after the name to match Back to the Future. So you can choose that number. Yeah, if they insist on putting a number, you can change it. That's true. And Rich says, thank God for Hobo. Yeah, I know. He's a sweetheart. He really is. Hobo's amazing. And so is Dad. They're super, super friendly. And I get really worried when he gets sick because I know his condition. But he's recovered. But yeah, they're sweethearts, both of them. They really are. I'm glad I was able to save both of them. And then, of course, there's Granny Smith. Granny Smith sitting in my lap, keeping me company. Usually she lays across my foot, but I took that picture yesterday, actually. Yesterday, she wanted to curl up on my lap. You see her there laying on my back, and I just kind of have my hand resting on her. She doesn't mind at all. She's not afraid of me, which is a good sign. And I've got some of the cats, especially the outdoor ones that I take care of. They're not touchable. I can't get anywhere near them, and that's fine. You know, as long as I can help them, it's cool. I want to make sure they're fed, they got clean water, that they're safe. If they're sick, I try to catch them. Sick or wounded, I'll try to catch them and help them. There's a few of them who have really warmed up to me, and some that never did and probably never will. And it just is what it is. I mean, they're wild animals, and I just do the best I can. And Rich says, my ginger cat Weasley purrs like an outboard motor. It says, the new name comes from him having a boxer pit in the past. Okay. That makes sense. And yeah, Raccoon is noticing her beans, her little cat feet. She's actually rather petite. That it's not just the angle. If you look at my hand in contrast to her head, she's that small. She's half the size of the other cats. So there you go. And Christopher still says, God bless. Absolutely. All the blessings we can get. But that's just, these are the ones that are inside. And of course, you know, the story, some of you are aware of the story with Granny Smith. She was an outdoor feral that was living under somebody's shed that they used to feed, but she wasn't really approachable. But she was injured, and we were told that she was limping really badly. But what we didn't know was she had been limping badly for months. And it turns out that her elbow was broken and healed incorrectly. So she is permanently crippled now. She walks with a lurch and dips her shoulder when she walks. She's not in pain or anything, but her elbow is messed up. And so we had her in the house, and she was terrified and hid for like days, and then suddenly decided she liked it out of nowhere. Super friendly cat out of nowhere. Wants to curl up next to you, wants to run around and play, but will not go outside, will not approach an exterior door, will not even look out the window. She decided the indoor life is the life for me, and screw it. Doesn't want to go outside, doesn't want to look outside. If you open an exterior door, she panics. It's like, so it's the most amazing transition from being a feral cat. And hates Daniel for some reason. She does not like Daniel at all. And so he usually avoids her. For whatever reason, does not like Daniel at all. But, you know, it is what it is. What are you going to do? And Daniel's not a bad guy. Daniel's friendly. Daniel's nice and friendly. But yeah, back to the toy museum. One of the things I'd really like to do is, again, I want to get that cathode ray TV set up. I might, again, put, I have the option of the Nintendo NES, the Sega Genesis, or the Atari 2600. Most likely, I think I'd like to put the Nintendo NES on there. Maybe the Sega too, because I really don't use the Atari hardly ever. But it would be nice to have it on the old cathode ray system. Johnny wants to know what'll be the first movie on the TV. Yeah, because I do have a VCR hooked up there. I mean, I've got the maybe Star Wars. I've got the Star Wars trilogy on VHS, and those are open. I've got the original live action Casper on VHS. We've got a handful of pieces. We've got a handful of pieces. So I don't know. I mean, but I will hook up that VCR. And then I'll get to this TV, the flat screen that's back there. That's the old school flat screen, by the way. That sucker's heavy. That's the ones that's like 3 inches thick. And hook up, some of the other video game items. Robert says he loves that the place looks nice and tidy and clean. Well, yeah, I mean, all of this is an investment. Even if we got it dirt cheap or free, even like the cathode ray TV, again, it was free. It was free at an estate sale. They didn't even want to price it because it's an old TV. It's an old 80s floor model. They were like, yeah, we don't want this. Nobody's going to buy this. I'll take it. But my wife and I are very staunch believers in the biblical principle of being a good steward. Yeah, I'm sure many of you are probably aware of the story of the good steward, where in the Bible, Yeshua, that is Jesus, Yeshua being the original name, Jesus is an anglicized translation. That the 3 servants, and they were each given a different amount of money to hold, and they each did something different with it. But the principle applies to all things, not just money. Anything that you're in charge of or taking care of or have, you should do your best with. So yeah, everything's going to be clean and orderly, a place for everything in its place. The cats I take care of are going to be taken care of. I'm going to clean their bowls every day. I'm going to make sure they get fresh water twice a day, change the water out even if there's still water in it, I'll dump it and change it. Anything you put your hands to, you should take really good care of. My relationship with my wife and I, we take good care of each other. We enjoy each other's company. We not only love each other, we like each other. We get along well. Be good stewards to the relationship. So yeah, everything. It's going to be clean and tidy and organized, and we're going to do our best in everything that we have and everything that we do. And we really, really believe in that principle, and we stick to it. We stick to it. We do the best we can with what we have in that regard. And it's important. It's funny. That's what Plastic Empire said when he was here. You might remember before we moved, the guy from Canada who toured our museum and put a film up on his channel, Plastic Empire, that he had, he's done tours of other people's places before. And he had said to us, the thing that stands out the most, how clean it is in here. Because I've gone and filmed other people's toy rooms or toy setups, and it was really dirty and dusty. And I'm just shocked how clean it is here. And I'm like, yeah, you do see that. Even in other tour videos, you can see like layers of dust on things. And I'm like, oh, dude, you've got to get into a cleaning routine. Munin says, I agree. If you're not taking care of the things you buy, then why did you buy them in the first place? And Pastor Rick said, have to give a hearty amen there, brother. Absolutely. Yeah. Amen and amen. And Johnny Future said, good steward of time and money too. Yeah. Anything that you have your hands to, anything that you have a hands to, think of it as a blessing and do the best you can with it and take care of it. Even yourself. You know, are you eating healthy? Are you sanitary? Is your environment clean? You know, are you keeping your mind and body well tuned and exercising your mind and your body? All of that matters. All of it's a gift. Take care of it. It's important. Robert says, for most collectors, it's hard to keep things looking all tidy. Most people look like hoarders. Yeah, and you can just go through and section by section, just make a routine for yourself. Okay, I can, even if it's 20 minutes a week, and I'll do this section and that one and that one and that one and just go around. But a lot of people don't. And I look at some videos and I'm like, wow, that's some great stuff, but wow, it's dusty. What happened? They just couldn't find the time or felt overwhelmed. I think a lot of times people feel overwhelmed because I'm not trying to pick on anybody, you know. I think a lot of times people feel overwhelmed and they're like, oh man, I can't do all this. No, you do a piece at a time. Okay, the rest of it will be dusty for a while. Do this section of shelves. And then next week, do that one and go and go and go, you know. And there's Brian joining us. Brian joining us here today. Glad you could make it. And there's Rich is saying there, they started collecting CDs. Now that they have a 6-disc changer, I get records occasionally, and he keeps his mind sharp playing jazz, chess with online chess club. That's interesting. That's interesting. And there's Patrick. Yeah, there's Johnny says you don't have to clean everything all at once. But I think a lot of people get overwhelmed that way. They think they have to do it all right now. And they're like, I can't get to that. That's going to take all day. Yeah, I've got a bunch of CDs. You can see them actually right behind me. Where are they? Is that on the top shelf? Right. Right here. Those are Nintendo DS cartridges. Those are vintage Nintendo. Which ones are those? Those are the Nintendo Super Nintendo cartridges, Nintendo DS cartridges, and then those are CDs. That's a collection of CDs right there going across. And Robert says, I think I watch you more than regular TV. Well, I'm glad somebody's watching. And I have a nice collection of CDs. I don't have a lot. I have way more vinyl records than CDs. And CDs are making a comeback. And I talked about that at the last record show because we filmed just a couple of weeks ago, of course, the Atlanta Record and CD show. And a lot more CDs are turning up. And I noticed also CDs making a comeback in Walmart. New ones, Walmart. And I'm like, gosh. Walmart CDs, but yeah, CDs are making a comeback. People are appreciating them again, as well as cassette tapes making a comeback. But I can't recommend any modern makers of cassette tapes because there's been a lot of complaints online with how bad the quality is on the cassette tapes, the modern ones, that you can actually even hear the other side of the tape on the first side, just superimposed. CDs aren't from that long ago, so they're not that expensive. I've got some couple of cassette tapes here, nothing major. There's Hair. The Brady Bunch. And that's what, it's a sunshiny day, the best of the Brady Bunch, and Toto 4. And Robert asked if I'm buying comics lately. He's getting into DC Digest. I haven't bought comics for a while. It's been a minute. Because if I did, I'd want vintage ones. And I have not, again, I haven't been able to get to a comic show. Although we will be going to the one in Conyers on December 7th. The comic show, December 7th. Munin says, how can they make cassette tapes worse with all the modern technology? Because you need a really decent master tape. And when you, even though it's inexpensive, the magnetic tape is inexpensive, it has to be split perfectly and evenly, because one side of that magnetic tape is one track and the other side of the magnetic tape is the other track. But if you are being cheap with it and you're doing it too fast and it superimposes, you'll hear the reverse backtrack of the other side on the front side, right? Because it'll overlap. And I guess it's too far removed since anybody fired up any of that technology. So they just have really cheap versions. CDs wasn't that long ago, and vinyl records never really went away. So there you go. I got my CDs. I got to pull out some for LPH because I got a couple of duplicates. Those are all ZZ Top. Because you know every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. That's why I wear the crown. Honestly, I'm only really worried about one girl being crazy about me, and I married her. Oh, Stevie Wonder, Greatest Hits. Only one girl I'm worried about. But yeah, that whole row there is my CD collection. And Saturday Morning said Walmart has Walkmans again. I wonder how well those work. Johnny says they make them cheap, cutting costs, expecting young people to think they're the same as the originals. They are not. And you can buy the originals still cheap. It's still inexpensive. And what Boxer here says, vintage comics are so much better because the modern day comics in the stores are the modern day comics stories much better, and action is good too. Yes, I agree. I agree. And Robert said DC Digest printing some old Silver Age stories in one collection. I like them. I'm getting the war comics and Old Sergeant Rock. Recent pickups, Brave and the Bold, fun reads. Yeah. And that's why those omnibus are so popular. You see a lot of those. Who has a lot of that? Gem Mint. You remember Gem Mint? He's still out there. He used to do a lot with omnibus. Gem Mint used to do a lot with omnibus. And he does that Saturday morning minty, not, is it Saturday morning or early morning Minty Fresh show or something like that, live action that he does? Almost daily, right? Almost daily. He's still pretty popular, even though he was involved in that controversy with those comic books at that one convention. Because he was tied in with that, wasn't he? But he's still pretty popular online. Although I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, I believe that that Comic Gate, or whatever the hell they were calling it, as the acetate gate, right? Acetate gate is what they were calling it, because the acetate covers are what him and a couple of other comic people, YouTube comic people, got caught up with, cost him his contract with Whatnot. Is that right? because he used to sponsor Whatnot, and they didn't want him anymore after that, and he lost a lot of revenue as a result, if I remember this correctly. And if I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comment section. You can tell me in the comment section. And Johnny says that he hasn't even read all of his omnibus. I don't doubt it. I don't know if who would have the time until you retire. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff I wish I could get back to my regular reading. Don't have the time. I've got comic books I haven't read. It catches up with you. It catches up with you. But that doesn't surprise me. But anyways, I mean, we've been on for just over 2 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off and rejoin my wife. She's been upstairs with her dad. And we're probably going to watch classic 70s wrestling. We're going to watch classic 70s wrestling. We have been watching classic 70s wrestling. It is actually surprisingly entertaining. We've been having a good time with it. I'm more of an 80s kid watching wrestling thing, but I'm enjoying the 70s and enjoying watching the transitions, watching the old Madison Square Garden matches and watching the transition for how it's developing into what we knew in the 80s. And there's Dama. I didn't know you were in there, Dama. Says, have a good night. And everybody is saying good night and happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate it. Appreciate you all joining us. Special thanks, of course, to Pastor Rick, to T. Stewart, and to Rich, who made donations to the channel today to help us out with our felines. Always appreciate it. And there's Mark, hi from Cape Cod. Oh, you're in here so late. I didn't know you were there. And Saturday morning, he said, don't forget to watch the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Of course. Of course. Rich remembers the Masked Superstar, a.k.a. Axe. Yeah, and then there was the, who were they? The Executioners, the tag team Executioners, which was, Killer Kowalski and Big John Studd, right? In the Executioner masks. But anyways, I'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks for joining us here, everybody. I very much appreciate you stopping by. We'll try to do this again sometime soon. Have a good evening, and if I don't catch you beforehand, enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday.